Hi there. I'm so glad and grateful you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in and for your interest in learning more about trauma sensitive yoga. My name is Michelle, and my intention for this kind of introductory style video here is to offer a brief background about trauma sensitive yoga, in particular TCTSY, that particular framework, as a way for you to maybe learn a bit more about what you might experience or practice with through the different videos and practices on this channel. So my intention for kind of the intended flow of the information to offer in this video is to initially start out with an initial brief definition of TCTSY, where it comes from, and then also getting into a brief background about the underpinnings that are the foundation of the actual framework itself, the actual pieces of the practice that you might interact with, you might explore with those different videos that are present on the channel. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your interest. And to kind of get started here with this brief introduction about trauma sensitive yoga, I thought I could maybe begin with a definition of TCTSY. And as I'm sharing this information through the video, I do have some notes that I might reference, so you could see my eyes move downward and then back upward, just so you have that awareness. Starting with TCTSY, this definition that I'll be offering is from the Center for Trauma and Embodiment's website. TCTSY, Trauma Sensitive Yoga, is the world's first and only yoga-based intervention for complex trauma and PTSD that has been found to be as effective as talk therapy through 20 years of original research that was conducted. And the TCTSY model and framework and practice, this modality, it was developed originally at the Trauma Center in Brookline, Massachusetts, by Dave Emerson and Jenn in collaboration with Dr. Bessel Kolk. TCTSY is now a program of the Center for Trauma and Embodiment, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to training and educating trauma-informed professionals around the world in innovative interventions for treating trauma. So if you're interested in learning more about TCTSY, about the different programs and offerings that the Center for Trauma and Embodiment have available, you can feel free to view their website. They have a wonderful plethora of information there. They have wonderful access to the research that was done and development for TCTSY. So if you're interested in any of that, you can please feel free to check out their website. It's healwithcfte.org, and I will put that link in the notes of this episode for you for reference and easy access there. So that's an initial background or definition of TCTSY and where it was developed. However, I feel it could maybe be even more impactful to share what the experience of TCTSY could be like as a participant interacting with the model and the practice. And I feel using the language from actual participants is maybe the most pure way of offering that. So I do have a quote here that I'd like to share and offer for you that was used frequently throughout the training program, the 300-hour training program that I did for TCTSY. So I'd like to share that with you. It's from a female participant who was involved in one of the first randomized trials that were conducted by the Trauma Center when validating this model. She says, "With TCTSY, I reclaimed my body. That is a gift because I so hated my body. Or I claimed it, not reclaimed, because I was so young. I claimed it. It was a long process to consider myself not an outline. I think TCTSY helped define me. Just inhabiting my own skin is a major step forward." Allowing some space for that to land in any way you might receive it. And this experience that's described here, this experience of claiming your body, of inhabiting your own skin, maybe even for a moment. Perhaps that is an opportunity of an experience that could be available to you or to any participants that might choose to interact with this practice. Now for the background related to the actual model itself. The framework has 3 theoretical underpinnings as a foundation, which are neuroscience, attachment theory, and trauma theory, which are delved into deeply during the training program. And then there are also the yogic underpinnings that are a foundation for the model. And some of those include the contemplative practice of yoga, as well as the physical movement of making shapes or forms with your body. So those are some of the yogic underpinnings. From the contemplative kind of yogic philosophy side, some of those themes of non-attachment, non-judgment, non-violence, truthfulness. Those are some of those elements that are pulled upon as a foundation for the model. And so the model then itself has five pillars, and those specific pillars of the model itself include invitational language, shared authentic experience, interoception, choice making, and non-coercion. So I'll give a little brief kind of background or a bit more information touching on each one of those briefly here, just for an opportunity to maybe connect in more of what each one, what that might look like in a practice that you might choose to interact with. So for invitational language, every cue within the TCTSY practice is preceded with an invitation. Everything about the practice is an invitation as a way to offer empowerment to participants, the way to be able to offer empowerment to choose to engage with the practice on their own terms. Always an invitation. And some examples of what that invitational language could sound like within a practice could be some language such as, if you like, you are welcome to. When you're ready, you might, you could, perhaps, maybe, feel free to. All of these different language cues or offerings are an opportunity to create that environment of everything being an invitation with the practice for participants. The second one, shared authentic experience. Through the TCTSY framework, this shared authentic experience is a way to create a relationship where no one is left behind. No one is abandoned. Everyone is honored that both the facilitator and participants are 2 embodied beings sharing space together. So within that shared authentic experience, this shared relationship, the role of the participant is to explore and perhaps be open to what they might feel in the moment, maybe having an embodied experience, perhaps. The facilitator's role, kind of grounding in integrity and holding safe space by being as present as possible within their own body. So what that could look like, again, is more of the internal experiences and the energy of that everyone is bringing into this space, but the facilitator may be having that true intention of integrity and grounding and presence within themselves to be able to offer that into the space and creating this shared authentic experience. Each person having their own unique experience in a collective community and shared space. The third pillar of interoception is the perception of the body's internal state, the felt sense within, and connecting with that in some way or noticing it in some way. So anything feelable, muscles contracting, muscles moving, anything felt within your body is interoception, and is also a way to maybe gain access to present moment experience. And within the present moment, someone is then not actively in trauma. So through interoception and offering that within a class, in a practice, what that might look like or sound like could be, if you choose to move your arm overhead any amount, you might notice sensation somewhere along your side, perhaps. Or maybe it sounds like if you choose to tilt your head side to side, maybe you notice muscles lengthening in your neck. Maybe you notice sensation somewhere else. Maybe there isn't much sensation to notice at all. So a range of different interoceptive cues are offered at different times and different ways as a way to build that skill, or an offering to build that interoceptive skill. The next pillar to share here is choice making. In TCTSY, a way to operationalize empowerment is through the invitation to practice making choices within your body, within the participant's body. So the participant has a choice in every regard, in every way, a choice to show up and actually participate in practice, a choice to stay and be present, a choice to come out of a shape, a choice to stay in a shape, a choice to pick a certain shape over another one, or choose something completely different altogether. There is choice making at every moment through the practice, as again a way to operationalize and empower the participant to practice making choices in their body. The fifth pillar here to note on is non-coercion. So TCTSY practices non-coercion by shifting the power dynamic of the relationship in favor of the participant. So there's this inherent power dynamic that is naturally, inherently present between facilitator and participant that is automatically in this space. So we are fully in the interest of sharing power in any and all ways and diminishing that gap. So cultivating a safe environment, an experience that is the opposite of trauma, is absolutely paramount with this offering. And some examples of how that could be created within a practice of TCTSY is consistency, predictability, repetitive use of language and choices, repetitive use of body gestures, being mindful of creating a safe environment. So if it's an in-person practice, noticing the environment and creating a non-coercive physical space. And also not providing any physical assists within the practice on participants is one of the ways to create a non-coercive environment. And so these 5 pillars of invitational language, shared authentic experience, interoception, choice making, and non-coercion, they all come together to create that full framework of TCTSY. So anything you see labeled on the channel as TCTSY is employing all of these different elements within the practice. And the intention of this video and sharing this information is just a way to offer and more information if you're interested about this particular practice, how it might differ from other forms of yoga that you might have interacted with before, and how it takes this trauma-sensitive approach. So thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for sharing in this time and space with me, even through the ethers. We are in separate spaces, but still here together through community. And I'm so grateful that you're here. And also, if you connect with this content in any way at all, or if you feel someone in your community might connect with it, please feel free to share or interact with the content in any way you feel called to, whether that's commenting, sharing with someone in your community, following some of the links in the notes, any way at all you might feel called to. That is so greatly appreciated. Those are some ways of, again, maybe providing wider access to this type of trauma-sensitive yoga content. And again, so grateful for you. Thank you. And I'm always wishing you well.